Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you're returning, thank you as always for being here. I appreciate you more than I can say. And I needed a little bit of inspiration this week. I don't know about you, but I've just been feeling like I need something to kind of lift my spirits. So today is all about signs of inspiration. Bunch of different signs. They are all super inexpensive. Dollar Tree products, things for my stash, and it's going to cost less than $3 to make every single one of these projects. So let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. For this project, I have this Love is Patient, Love is Kind. This is a wall decal from the Dollar Tree, and this frame is also from the Dollar Tree. I am going to be removing the, what do you call that? The mat that breaks up all of the area, so to speak, for various photos, and we'll just be using the entire frame for this, if that makes sense. So I taken out the glass because I was thinking about painting the frame. Ultimately, I did not paint it, so I didn't need to remove the glass, but I have a piece of scrapbook size paper from the Dollar Tree as well. It came in a pack of 3, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a later video because I kind of did these out of order when I decided to edit this down, because I wanted to show this one first because it ended up being my favorite, and it's a saying that I really like, and I know it's one of Rich's favorites, and so I actually made this for Rich. But I am cutting down or tracing down the right size. Also, with these backings for some of these Dollar Tree frames, I'm reinforcing the holders. This is just cardboard. These frames are really light, so as long as you're not putting anything heavy in the frames, it shouldn't be an issue. But I do like to reinforce it so it doesn't end up pulling out or tearing or whatever and falling off my wall. That would be bad. So I am applying some hot glue there to reinforce it, putting down some parchment paper, and I'm pressing it down so that I don't end up with anything bulky in my frame that might kind of press up against my the thing that I'm framing and create like a bump or whatever else. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I use a parchment because, as you saw, it doesn't stick to the hot glue. So I did get a little bit of hot glue on there, so I was able to scrape that off real quick and easily. And then I cut down the piece to fit. And now I'm going to figure out how to get my decals on here. I'm flipping them upside down right now because I want to make sure that this is nice and centered in the middle of my backing. Okay, so I'm flipping them upside down, and these were cut in such a way that they are literally rectangles. I mean, the tops and the bottoms are a little bit more, they're not complete straight lines, but the sides are, and that was going to make it super easy to try and figure this out. So as I did this, I realized, well, you know, I've got them on the opposite sides because I'm like, well, I'm going to end up picking them up again, and then I'm not going to have it lined up anymore, right? So I ended up flipping these. You're going to see that in just a second because here I'm thinking about it. I'm like, how am I going to do this with keeping it where I want it? So I ended up scooching them around. I flipped them around. And then I had that love one, the one that's on the left now, I had brought it down onto my surface. Apparently I had a little bit of stuff, just like dust and stuff on my surface. So I'm just scraping that off the bottom of the decal that had picked that up. So just make sure your surface is clean. But I'm going to get this all nice and lined up again. And then I am going to flip this over. So now I'm setting it up right next to the other one that's still sticky side up, right? But I'm using that as my guide. I'm making sure that it's all even and good to go, and then I'll rub it down. And here I found I had a little bit of something underneath. So the good news is that these are wall decals, so they will come up, but you just want to be real careful. You don't want to damage it. I also didn't want to get my fingerprints on it because it is a clear backing. So I'm just being real careful. I don't want to poke a hole in it with the weeding tool, but all was well. So just take your time, make sure you're working on a clean surface, and you should be good to go. It's taking the second piece, just trying to get it lined up right along the edge of the initial piece and rubbing all of that down. I love this so much. So easy, so quick, and less than $3, right? That paper from the Dollar Tree came in a pack of 3. And it's been in my stash for a while, so I had purchased it for $1. So 33 cents for that, $1 for the frame, because that's also been in my stash, and then $1 for the decal, also in my stash. DIY number 2. All right, I have another Dollar Tree frame, and this time I'm using a rub-on transfer. You can see it's upside down in the package because I had attempted to use it for another project quite some time ago, and then ultimately ended up deciding to do something else. So I have one of these tabby things that was not inserted all the way into the frame, and I'm trying to press that back in. It's not something I was able to do with my fingers. It was too tough to press in. So I grabbed my hammer. You can see it's kind of pointy there. So I'm just going to stick it back in the hole that it was supposed to be in. And I'm just going to knock it in just gently. You don't need to tap this real hard, just gently. And it went in enough, and I was able to bend it over, and all is well here. Those little tabby things, when they're lifted, they also serve to lift the frame up off of your surface, which is great when you are trying to paint it. Hint, hint. I'm just checking to make sure that this is going to fit nicely inside. And then I grabbed a couple of different pieces of scrapbook paper. I wanted to have some sort of a nice backing. You could put this right on the glass, but it would be on the exterior of the glass because otherwise it would end up showing the back through your project, right? So I wanted to have some sort of a backing. I went with this really neutral, a shiplap looking piece. And now I have my agave chalk paint. And the reason I picked this color was because it's actually in my little image, the rub-on transfer, using a chip brush because I just want to draw out the pattern that is on this. I don't know if you could even see in the video before I started painting it that there was this really pretty pattern on the frame. So I'm literally just going with a dry brush over the frame just lightly to bring out the design that's on here. And then I'll also make sure that I get the sides as well so that the sides look cohesive with the project. But again, dry brush. I am not looking to make this a solid greenish blue here with the agave. I do want the black to show through and be part of the style. That was what I was going for here. So hopefully you like what I've done with this one, but let me know what you think. And now I'm going to go ahead and lay down my rub-on transfer. You do want to be careful when you're doing these because if you put pressure on them, they do tend to have a little bit of stickiness to them. And if you apply pressure on it before you're ready for it to be where it's going to be, you might not be able to get it lifted up again. So just be aware of that. But now I'm using my little burnishing tool that I use when I have my, when I use my vinyl cutter, right? So just using the same thing. If you don't have a burnishing tool, you could use a credit card, you could use a coin, you could use anything with a sharp edge on it, really, not super sharp, but enough of an edge on it to help apply the pressure that's needed. When I was a kid using rub-on transfers, I used to use a pencil or a pen and just literally, scribble over it to make sure that I'd gotten all of the places that needed to be gotten. And then I'm just peeling it away very slowly and gradually to make sure I'm not lifting any of the image with it. And if there are little pieces, I had some of those little teeny green pieces that somehow I wasn't catching. I just put it back down and went right over it again. So just take your time and it'll work beautifully. So there it is, all set. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love for you to visit with me again sometime. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell, hit the little bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. So I'm just putting it all back together and that's it. Let me know what you think. DIY number 3. All right, another wall decal. Can you tell I'm like loving these decals? I've had them in my stash for quite a while, honestly. And I just hadn't had a moment where I thought that they would fit in with the video that I was creating based on whatever theme I was doing at the time. So I am taking full advantage of needing some inspiration. And I want to remind you to be you, and you are beautiful. Absolutely stunning. So be mindful that you are wonderful just as you are. And hopefully this will be a reminder to not just myself, but to all of you. So I had picked out, I had tried to do it with an 8x10 frame. I found that it was just going to be a little bit too tight. So I did pull out another one of these square frames. I believe this is 11.5 by 11.5. It's not necessarily marked that way on the frame itself because it's meant to be for different sized pictures, right? But we can certainly use it this way, right? So reinforcing my back again, because I want to make sure that the wall hangers don't end up pulling out. And this time I am going to paint the frame. I pulled out my Arteza Gold acrylic paint. And at first I was envisioning it being a solid gold, but as I started to apply this, I realized that it was somewhat translucent. And so I was seeing the black coming through and I thought, oh, you know, I can just give it a few more coats of paint, make it solid. But as I was going, I realized I really liked the effect of the black still coming through, especially given that the wording that I'm working with is black and gold. I just thought it was a really nice, I'm going to call happy accident. It wasn't really an accident, but it ended up just being so much more than what I had originally intended for it to be. So bonus. Now I've pulled out a stack of my scrapbook paper that I've had in my stash for quite some time. And I'm just looking for something that can serve as a nice backing. I don't want it to be too busy. I thought this one was going to be the one I wanted, but then I tried this one as a possibility. I thought that was kind of cool. Then this one was also a possibility. But ultimately, I landed on this one. I just thought it was a little bit more subtle. And I don't know if you could tell on here, but it's a whole bunch of plus signs. And so I thought, you know what? That could be a subtle message to remind me that I am more. I am more than what I believe myself to be. And I can be more. I can do more. And yeah, sorry if I'm getting a little cheesy or corny on you guys, but I do appreciate every single one of you, and I want you to know that you are important. We all have something to contribute in this world, and I think you're awesome. So going ahead and getting this all lined up, you might have seen me counting the little plus signs, just trying to make sure that everything was nice and even and lined up. I'm going to go ahead and start applying these. I didn't press down on it too much just yet, just in case. Just want to be cautious is what I'm doing, because again, while these are wall decals, I am applying them to paper. So yes, they can be removed, but, and here I'm like, oh, I've got a big gap in there. So as I was saying, they can be removed, and you're about to see me remove it very carefully, very gently. But again, we're applying this to paper. There is adhesive involved. So there is a risk of damage to the paper if you're not careful, right? So this is sped up about 2.5 times just to kind of give you an idea. Here I'm like, I need a little help. So I grabbed some of the backing from the words that I had already removed, and using my little weeding tool there to help me get it lifted. Just be careful not to poke holes in it or to stretch it or to tear it. So here I'm grabbing some parchment paper to kind of help myself get this all laid out and lined up the way that I need it. So I love this with the parchment paper because you can see right through it. So you can see where it needs to go, what you need to do, trying to figure out what angle this should be at. And then I can go ahead and start folding it back and pressing down my little decal. And I did struggle with this a little bit, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure some other folks probably have a better method than what I was doing here, but it worked for me, you know, so I'm just taking my time, applying it the best I can. I think, yeah, Yeah. I am not the most graceful creature on the planet, and it shows in my crafting as well. So, but I got it all lined up. I got it laid out the way it needs to be, and I was very happy with the end result. And that's what matters, right? I'm just probably making it look more difficult than it really is. So now I've got the last little piece, the tiful, that I'm going to line up and lay out. And then this one will be ready to get put back together. I love this so much. I might gift this to my daughter. Again, just as a reminder that she is beautiful and she needs to be herself because she's beautiful the way she is, right? Oh, I forgot about the hearts. Yes. So it did come with a bunch of little hearts, and going to lay those out. You can do it however you want. And you know what? This doesn't even have to be stacked like this. You could totally do it all in a line, right? It doesn't have to be stacked. So if you find this decal at the Dollar Tree and you opt to pick it up, it could go over a doorway in your bedroom as a reminder to just be yourself, because you are beautiful just the way that you are. All right, putting my frame back together, and then I'll go ahead and pop this in. And I cannot wait for you to see how pretty this is with the gold and black frame and the lettering. I just absolutely love this. I had stuck another piece of parchment paper underneath because I felt like my glue was still, not my glue, my paint was still a little tacky and I didn't want to damage it. Lifting up the hanger so it's ready to hang, and that's it. Let me know what you think. DIY number 4. All right, another rub-on transfer. This one says always in a good mood, and it's just a reminder to myself that even when things aren't going well, I can choose to be in a good mood. I can choose to be happy. I can choose the way that I respond to things. So I'm a work in progress, right? But I'm trying to pop off the back of this. I was afraid it might be glued down, but I've got my screwdriver and I'm realizing that I can pop it off, but my screwdriver was a little wide. So I've got my burnishing tool that I've popped in underneath here. Again, you could do this with a credit card or something similar. But I found that it was teeny tiny little nails that I hadn't even been able to notice until I started pulling this up, that were holding this in place. So I got that popped off, pulled off the other backing that was there as decorating the inside of it. I'm going to grab a piece of parchment paper to dump out all this confetti because I do want to use it again. Now I could replace the confetti with something else, but I just decided it was fun and colorful and it would make me smile when I saw it and wanted to be in a good mood. So that's what I opted to do. Now I'm using my Dollar Tree razor blade and just scraping off the lettering that's on the inside of this original frame. I love these little razor blades. They are so convenient and they make this job super easy. So once I had that done, I had knocked it off into the trash, and now I'm just using some rubbing alcohol to clean both sides of my glass and just making sure everything is nice and clean and that I'd gotten all of the black lettering off completely. And now I'll get my transfer ready, and I had it set to go on the inside and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I had a little piece that was damaged. So I'm just kind of repairing that. I'm not sure if I did it or if it was already like that. Not sure. I probably did it with my screwdriver when I was trying to get in there. But realizing that my rub-on transfer is going to have to go on the outside, right? Or we'll have that issue like I was mentioning. And this is here. I'm like, oh, I put it down too quickly and I didn't realize it was going to stick like that. Again, just a reminder to kind of be careful before you set your transfer down, making sure that it's nice and lined up the way you want it, because it will stick. And I was fortunate. I was afraid that it wasn't going to come up for me and I was going to be stuck with it a little bit off kilter there, but it all worked out. So using my burnishing tool again, and again, just taking my time. I am not going to make you watch me do this whole thing. So here we are. It's all applied. I think this is so pretty, and almost forgot my confetti. I'm like, oh, yep. Dump the confetti back in, put the backing back on. And then I was hoping that the real backing or the solid backing was going to be able to just pop back in there without an issue. And it pops in, but it also comes out really easily. So I was like, nope, that's not going to work. I have to glue this one because I don't have any of those teeny tiny little nails. And I'd be afraid that I would mess it up if I tried to nail something in there anyway. But using just a bead of hot glue around the outer edge and popping this in, and it is good to go. I think this is so sweet, but let me know what you think of this one. DIY number 5. For this one, life is better with a friend. I had to do something because if you all have been following me for any bit of time, you probably know about Sammy. He is my sweet little love bug, my little pal. And so I am, well, there's also Sunny. Sunny is a sweetheart as well, but Sammy's my fur baby. I also have Jazzy, our cat. But I don't know. Sammy has a special place in my heart. But life is better with a friend. I'm just cutting it all down a little bit so I can get a good idea of whether it's going to fit in this frame. This is also a Dollar Tree frame that I've had in my stash for a bit. It has a gray frame to it, and I thought it would look nice with the silver and black. So I am not going to paint this one either. You certainly can. And now I am just kind of going through a bunch of different scrapbook pages. Now these are the ones that I got from the Dollar Tree that I was telling you about earlier. This is the project that I had tried first with the Dollar Tree papers. And then I used the green one in the first project. There's that green, right? I almost used it for this one, but then decided, nope, I was going to hold on to that for something else. Hadn't thought about it for the Love is Kind project just yet, but I'm pulling all of these out. So again, these were 3 to a pack, you can see, and they were kind of shimmery on one side with a little bit of a texture, and then they were flat on the other side. And the Love is Kind project, I opted to use the flat side. This time I'm using the shiny surface, and I'm going to use this light blue color. I just thought it was bright and happy, and I don't know, I just liked it. So this is what I ended up going with. I'm going to go ahead and get this one cut down to the right size for the frame. I opted to pop out the glass, I think, for this. I'm not sure why I didn't just use the backing. Maybe I figured with the kickstand thing on it, it might be easier just to use the glass. So that's what I did. So got that traced out, I got it cut out, and then I was ready to go ahead and apply my wall decal. So again, these projects are so easy and they make such a nice little impact. They are great for decorating your home if you don't have a lot of money to spend, but you need something inspirational or something to just make you smile here and there, something new and bright to, you know, to be able to see and look at. So hopefully you're getting some inspiration from today's projects. And if you are, I hope you'll let me know or just say hello. But I'm struggling with this one because it's so large. So I grabbed out my parchment again, and I am going to lay out the entire thing on the parchment this time. This particular piece was much larger. The Life is Better with a Friend, with A, you know, it was all one piece clearly, and just such an odd shape that I found it was going to be easier to try and get it all laid out in this way. And then I'll be able to transfer it over like I did the last time by folding the parchment paper under and starting to move it onto the, I keep wanting to call it cardstock. I guess it's like a light cardstock. That's fair, but it's more like scrapbook paper. So applying that like that. And here I go with my non-gracefulness in just a moment. So, like, oh goodness. So it all worked out well, but here I'm like, okay, how am I going to get this? Because the parchment just didn't want to pull out, you know. So I'm like, all right, flipping that over, getting the friend laid down first. I'm like, okay. I'm just gonna roll it along. So a little bit at a time, just making sure I'm smoothing it out as I go so that I'm not getting any gaps or lumps or air bubbles or whatever else. So just take your time and you'll be fine, honestly. And if you're worried that you're going to need to readjust it, just don't press it down until you have it where you want it. And then you'll be able to lift it up and readjust it as needed. So once I had it where I wanted it, I'm just flattening it all down. And now I can add the little paw prints and get those all situated. And that's really it for this project. Then we'll be able to put our frame back together and we'll have our little picture ready to set up on a tabletop or on a shelf or hang it on the wall. But yeah, this one makes me smile. Absolutely. How cute is that? So I've got it all nice and lined up. I'm gonna go ahead and pop it back in my frame and we are done. But let me know what you think of this one. And let me know which of these is your favorite and if you think you might try one of these. And if you do try one of them, I would love to see what you think, because remember, I love to give shout outs to all of you guys who share your pictures with me. So I hope to hear from you. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoy the project, remember to give me a big thumbs up and leave me a comment. Let me know which one was your favorite. And did you find some inspiration today? I hope that you did. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.